speaking about roads and tolls, let's move on to cars and petrol, perhaps. Hyundai Motor India, the company that recently listed, but we know for a very long time as well, reported their second quarter earnings, Red Sea crisis affecting both revenue and margin. To talk us through the performance, now we're joined by Tarun Garg, who's the whole-time director and chief operating officer of Hyundai Motor India. Thanks a lot, Mr. Garg, for joining in. In the second quarter, we saw a decline both year-on-year and quarter-on-quarter. You did speak about the Red Sea crisis impacting certain section of your exports business, and the domestic business, of course, had a high base as well. The question then, from here on, how do you expect growth to pan out in the remainder of this fiscal?
If you see the earnings, one is the H1 earnings, where you see the EBITDA is at a very strong 13.1% as compared to 12.6% of financial year 23-24. So you can see very strong results despite the strong headwinds which we are seeing in the market. Of course, so that is very good. Regarding the Red Sea crisis, of course, it affected our exports to the Middle East. We tried to really make it up by focusing on the other markets, whether it was Africa, that is one. The second is the overall volume impact was kind of made up by our premiumization strategy, which has really helped us to increase the domestic ASP consistently. And of course, whether it is the ADAS, whether it is the sunroof, whether it is the automatics, I think that continuous focus on premiumization remains. The SUV percentage has reached a 68% January to October, as against about 60% last year. So I think that focus again remains very strong. We have just launched the Alcazar facelift, which has received some great response. So I think that should add to the not only to the ASP but to the SUV percentage as well as to the margins. And of course, going forward, we are going to launch the Creta EV in the next quarter, which we believe is going to be a very strong game changer, not only for Hyundai, but for the Indian four-wheeler electric space as well. So I think despite some of those demand headwinds which this year is facing because of a very high base of last year, we believe that Hyundai will continuously, make efforts to, to have some stable, results.
All right. Hi, sir. Morning. Good to see you. Ben, one more question on growth. Industry bodies, some of your competitors, they are talking about low single-digit growth for FY25. What's the growth range that you are looking at?
No, if you see the CAGR for the auto industry, it has been 5%, whether it is a 5-year CAGR or a 10-year CAGR. In fact, all the OEM players, beginning of this calendar, we have sat together to determine what kind of a growth this year can have on that high base. And all of us unifiedly, we said that it would be a low single-digit growth. And I think we have been proved right. If you see this year, we are at a low single-digit growth. But I think the important thing is that we are talking about a very high base of 22% growth in 23 and in 22, and then again 8.5% growth in 23. So obviously on that high base, if you have a single-digit growth, this is very good. So I believe that the festival season was very good in terms of retail sales. We had a very strong Vahan registration growth in October 24 over October 23. The momentum is continuing in November post-festival as well. So we believe that, yes, once the industry stocks are normalized and, we will start seeing those positive offshoots of demand. And of course, we still remain committed to a low single-digit growth as far as the industry volumes or HMI is concerned.
All right, got that. Tarun, you've spoken in the past about the Creta EV launch, which is scheduled for the fourth quarter of this financial year. Just wanted to also know the launch timeline for the other 3 electric vehicles that you've spoken about in the past. If you can provide us with that timeline.
It's very difficult to really give you the exact timings, but we will. I believe EVs is the way to go, and we are very much committed to not only launch new products but also give a very comprehensive solution to the customers in terms of the entire life cycle. I think that is what will really differentiate Hyundai from the others. We are a very strong brand, and when the customer is buying an EV, the key areas in his mind are the cost of ownership, the service network, the charging infrastructure, the reliability of the brand, and we believe that we have everything. and of course with HMC's technology, leadership in the EV space, I think we should be able to really provide some very comprehensive solutions to the customers going forward in the EV space.
Right. Mr. Garg, you've been focusing on premiumization. We see that the contribution of SUV has increased to 60%. So the question is that how much better, more can it get? Can it increase even further? Or you are now looking at the entry-level segment as well? If you could give us the strategy for premiumization versus entry-level and the penetration of, SUVs, which is now about 60%.
Every year we are asked this question that is this the peak? Last year when we reached 60% SUV contribution, we were asked, is this the peak? Now we reached 68%. And again, you're asking, we saw 70% penetration in September. We have just launched the Alcazar facelift. We are going to launch the Creta EV. So the dual cylinder is in the Exter is helping us to increase volumes there as well. So we believe that there is still more headroom as far as the SUVization continues. At the same time, we are a complete player. We are very strong in the hatches. We are very strong in the sedans. The Aura continues to do well. From a volume of 3.5 to 4,000 per month, we are now consistently clocking 4,500 and more in Aura. The Verna, after the full model change of the Verna in 2023, it has received some great response from the customers. So I think we have all kinds of powertrains, petrol, CNG, diesel, electric, turbo, and of course, all kind of body types, whether it is hatches, sedans, and SUVs. This makes us a complete, vehicle manufacturer. Also, if you see, in India, different states behave differently to different power types, powertrains. So if you see in, for example, Uttar Pradesh or Maharashtra, CNG is very much preferred. In Delhi, petrol is very much preferred. In Telangana, Punjab, diesel is very much preferred. So having different type of powertrains help us to really tackle all the customers very well in different states. At the same time, it is a very strong risk hedging. You mentioned about sometimes, maybe the allocation of gas, sometimes the prices could change, the customer preferences could change. If you have access to all kinds of technologies, I think this really puts us in a much more advantageous position to really leverage all the opportunities that exist in the market.
Let's talk a little bit about your capex plans then, with respect to Pune as well as the Tamil Nadu units.
Pune plant is absolutely on track. And in the Q3 of financial 25-26, the Pune plant will be up and running. Pune plant will add 170,000 capacity in phase 1 to our existing capacity of 824,000. So total capacity by the Q3 of financial 25-26 will be 994,000, which will take care of our export as well as domestic needs going forward. Regarding capex, we have an MOU with the Maharashtra government for 6,000 crores, which covers both the phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2 will happen in 2028, which will add 80,000 capacity and take our capacity to almost 1.1 million. Regarding Tamil Nadu, 26,000 crore MOU has been signed till 2032. So I think everything is on track. And we believe that the Pune plant capacity addition will really give us a very strong leverage to look at not only increasing volumes, market share, but also, of course, expanding the margins as more and more models get introduced and as the capacities increase.
Tarun, there's a fair bit about hybrid and EVs. What we understand also is that you've been working on a project related to hydrogen. And you've even collaborated with IIT Madras for the same. If you can give us any details, where is that project at, what stage?
So look, what is very important is that we have a very strong, enablers in place. So we are really investing not only in electric vehicles or the charging infrastructure. In hydrogen, we believe hydrogen could be a very important game changer in terms of energy needs for the country. So we have a collaboration with IIT Madras and the Tamil Nadu government. We have committed 100 crores to the project. We are developing a hub, innovation hub, where we will try to really bring down the cost of green hydrogen from the current level of $5 a kg to probably $2 a kg.
All right, Mr. Garg, thank you so much for joining in and giving us an outlook for the second half of this year. You seem fairly optimistic. The stock price is reflecting that, up around 1.5%. But what's actually doing extremely well in the entire market itself. The Nifty is